Speaking about cupboard, take a look at this image right here and identify the error on screen. One leap of error. Hey everyone, it's Cavell. Welcome back to my channel. If you're returning, your family at this point. If you're new, welcome. We are so happy to have you. We I realize that a lot of you have really liked the video where I'm detailing the mistakes that I've made while building my house in Jamaica. I'm assuming the more it is that you're learning from my mistakes, the fool, Marty said that in another video, it's the more that you're able to navigate the process of building or constructing your own home. With that being said, I am here with a part 2. If you're someone like me and you are your own project manager and like this is the first time you're building a house, you are responsible for every single detail that goes into that house. And sometimes no matter how careful you are, you're bound to make mistakes. And sometimes the things that you love now are not things that will work in a house in the future. And so those become a part of the mistakes or the regret that people may have. Building a house anywhere isn't for the weak or the impatient. Building a house all the way from a different country is another ballpark. The risks, everything is just high. So the very first thing that I regret or I classify as being a mistake for me is not having a vision as to what I wanted the house to look like. And when I talk about vision, I'm not talk layout, because if you've seen part 1 of the mistakes that I've made while constructing, you know the layout of the house was just not the best. You know why it never occurred to me that the same places that I'm looking for winter outfit inspiration, but I don't know if just they're also the same places that I should have looked when I'm trying to figure out exactly how to design the house. I now take inspiration from Pinterest when it comes to my home. I try as best as possible now to circle what it is in the image that I like, so when I'm coming back I have a clear sense of what was the inspiration from the image in the first place. Not having a vision or inspo of what I wanted each room to look like made it so much easier for me to get distracted, for me to essentially what I call like eat off of other people's plate. I heard it somewhere and it has stuck with me like glue. If you have a certain taste, right, and you know where you like eat, you're not going to want to eat off everybody's plate, and everything you see you want to put in your mouth. It is way easier to drown out everybody's opinion on what it is that you should do with your house. And I fell into this trap of like wanting to be respectful and take other people's opinion and ideas into consideration, but in somehow doing that, the things that I necessarily wanted did not come through all the way. I hope that makes sense. Another mistake or regret is not hiring an electrician in the first place to inspect the house when I first bought the house. I don't know why this was not something that we thought of in the agreement, and I think it's because instead of being quick, we just did things in a hurry. Whenever you do things in a hurry, like, you're more likely to make mistakes. You're more likely not able to think of things as you ought to think of them. And so like if it's something that I have to go back, I would make sure that an electrician really done their due diligence to inspect the place, because the original structure is like giving me headache. My room right now, a beer, but no shots, is that what you call it? Shots, a beer shots ago. I mean, no, it's now costing me to correct those things. Another mistake or something that I regret is doing the final painting on the house before everything else was completed within the house. Why did I not think of this? When I tell you, in order to install the cupboard, in order to install the doors, like all these different workmen just keep coming in and out of the house, literally just nasty up the paint, and then I had to end up buying more paint because the girl, I don't really buy it in excess. Somebody already talked about this as being one of the mistake them. So what I say me buy is what I buy. So there was not much excess paint to touch up all the nonsense that went on in the house. So I'd advise, like, do your priming, but do not do your final coat until those things are set in your house. So I heard this quote and it couldn't be truer than true, which is the bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price has been forgotten. And that is so true. Let me tell you, another mistake that you can possibly run into is compromising quality just because you're trying to cut costs. Remember when I said you really need to think where it makes sense to save and where it makes sense to splurge. What do you think? Is cupboards a good area to consider cutting costs or no? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But anyways, we cut corners. Speaking about cupboard, take a look at this image right here and identify the error on screen. One leap of error. The error them supposed to jump out at you at this cupboard. Again, going back to vision, and the mistakes for the cupboard didn't necessarily have to do with vision. It had to deal with the fact that the things that my heart desired was not necessarily what my bank account could fulfill. The criteria that I had for the cupboard were these. I needed it to be under 70,000 Jamaican dollars. I wanted it to be stained really dark, and I wanted it to, that's it. This is what happened. When I cupboard them start go, I say, wait, why is it not touching the ceiling? And then when I look, it just look like two big boxes on the wall. I'm gonna say, you know what? No, we're not gonna panic. It already went up. You know, instead of telling him to take it down, we're just gonna ease it and just let him continue. Then no, me I say it just look weird. So let's just drop another piece in the middle. People, look at this. We drop a piece in the middle. I'm like, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. You say you wanted it to be under a certain amount of money, trust the process, trust the process. Yeah. Here, Messi, is he putting up the cupboards now? Notice how you don't see a bunch of space on the side. So mistake was that we never grill the place before we put up the cupboard. Yeah, we didn't. When the person who was going to build the grills came to inspect and assess what is going on, first and foremost, the windows weren't positioned in a way where he can actually put the grill on the inside. I think that is so much neater instead of having the grills outside. But the position of the windows being a little bit like, I don't know what you call it, like a little bit further so that the grill, I'm gonna see if I can insert a picture so that the grill can be on the inside as opposed to being on the outside, was not something that we thought about when we were doing the house. And it wasn't something that when we were getting the windows done, and it wasn't something that was also advised to us either.
Serious question, is anyone to be blamed here?
But anyways, going back to the story, it was hell to figure out how to do this grill. The mistake of mine has to do with budget. And let's be real here. If you're returning, you know it wouldn't be a video of mine if I did not mention the word budget. And it's because I'm really reformed, and my ideas of what budgeting means. I really thought of budgeting in the past as being this penny pinching thing. Like when it comes to budgeting, you have to suffer, you have to feed pan ramen noodles. You gonna cry. Budgeting and sufferation for me went hand in hand. When, oh my goodness, that is such a distorted and unreasonable way to think of budgeting that it's quite absurd. A lot of businesses wouldn't be successful if they did not learn how to budget properly. Them have to know how to allocate the funds. Like, get out of here, man. So if you're someone who had the old view of what budgeting is, like I did, please get to their head. Anyways, back to budgeting. The other mistake that I made was underestimating the budget of things. It's like when you're first learning how to use budgeting sheets and you get to the part when it's groceries, you literally underestimate the amount of money that you're going to need for groceries, knowing damn well you need more money and eat what for food. And then when we calculate how much money we spend on groceries at the end of the month, we're like, Jaja, so much we eat? Yes. Initially, when you were doing the budgeting, you know, so you eat enough, so why would you underestimated the budget in the first place? Let me get back on track. So underestimating what things were going to cost. What I thought was in my head of how much it was going to cost me to do something is not what it actually costs. And so like not having extra funds to do a lot of things really slowed up the process on many of the things. The first thing that it slowed up the process of was like getting the house grill. I underestimated like how much it was gonna cost not remembering like the steel work on my house was like one of the most expensive things. I'm getting tired. I'm gonna take a break because my brain can't function. So I'm gonna look a break a while ago. My father just called me and told me what Jamaica had. I'm gonna come like another mistake that we made, which was just terrible, was the height of the stanchion. Now, if you know a lot of new builds right now, you have to have electrical stanchions out there. Stanchions? You have to make sure that you have the electrical stanchions very accessible for JPS to come and read the meter. And like I've said before, I don't know why this is a thing when they have smart meters, but whatever. And we made ours maybe 3 feet shorter than it's supposed to be, and so you have to use like pipes, like metal pipe or metal rods to kind of catch it up, and it just looks so tacky and crazy looking. So if you're building something like that, please make sure you have the correct height. I'll put it in the video, the correct height for the stanchion. I basically went through this whole video and did not talk about my biggest regret. My biggest regret when it comes to the house and building, when it comes to building the house, actually took place before construction even started. It has to do with the very house itself. Is the mortgage. It's not that YouTube is not ready for that level of transparency. I'm just not ready for that level of transparency. Maybe at another point, I'll talk about the things that people should really be cautious about when it comes to purchasing a house. Like, yeah. Like I said, purchasing a house, building a house, it's not for the faint of heart. So it's probably one of the biggest investments a lot of us are going to make in our lifetime. And it is a lot of work. It's no joke. I just hate that. I know this is about mistake, but it just sucks how a lot of time people glamorize and romanticize the idea of having a house, where there are a lot of hidden costs associated with having a house. There are a lot of mental struggles that you go through when owning a house. There's lots of ningy in their ears when it comes to owning a house, and everybody seems to have an opinion when it comes to home ownership. I mean, know somebody gonna be like, oh, but Camille, a lot of people don't own the house, be grateful. I am grateful. I never said I wasn't grateful. You just hear me say me personally, me not gonna glamorize it right now. It's for me right now, owning a house is not a flex. And just hear me out. As long as I'm still paying mortgage, it's not a flex for me. At the end of the day, anything can happen. What happens if I stop making payment on those houses? Do I own it? I'll wait. Exactly. So this is why I'm work like extremely hard to ensure that I did not take out any loan when it came to building the house, because I don't want to have that to deal with. Yeah. And I'm never talking down to anybody either, because I'm literally talking down to myself. If somebody have it like that, so I'm gonna buy the house cash. See the money there. Take the whole like, yo, you know. Y'all still here, even with my rant? Thanks. In the same way, you're not gonna ever catch me a romanticize the idea of financing a car. May I duck? Or you hear me, I come here and romanticize the idea of leasing. I'm done now. Wow, I feel a lot better getting that out.
I'm starting to realize that recording videos for YouTube is low-key like me forgetting my best lines in arguments and having to come back and say them all over again. One of the biggest mistakes that I have made was connecting the water to the additional property too soon. One of the cases where doing something too soon can actually cost you, because when I got that bill from Water Commission, I was shocked. Can you imagine not using water for premises and getting a bill? The way how me shocked, but yo, my shock, man. I couldn't even believe it. Here I was thinking I'm doing a good thing by getting ahead of things and ensuring that the property had water right away, not knowing that I would be paying water bill for something we not use. So I would just advise you to ensure that when it comes to connecting the water or connecting the light, you are doing so closer to when the place is going to be occupied, as you can be paying for the fees of like the meter and so forth. So
Listen, I don't want to have to come back and give a part 3 on the mistakes I've made. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you want me to talk about, excluding NHT, because I don't really know much about NHT at all. Most of the things that I'm telling you are from my experience. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. If you found value in it, please go ahead and like the video. As always, please comment below your mistakes, your struggles, so that other people can learn from you. I personally enjoy interacting with all of you. And YouTube has been doing its thing lately where it's showing me all small YouTubers videos. I've just been enjoying taking my time to just watch everybody else's videos, subscribe, and like all those things, because why not? Pie is big enough for everybody to get a slice of. With that being said, I will see you in my next video. Bye.